We never thought we would find ourselves inside such an amazing abandoned place as this. In today's episode, we are exploring a massive district hospital with equipment left behind and fully functional power throughout. The size of the building meant that there were surprises hidden around every corner, and we never knew what we were going to find. As we walked through the hospital's eerie corridors, we could feel the 150 years of history caving in on us. All the emotion that was endured inside the hospital was very visible in all the cracks and peeling paint. So join us and King of Bongo as we explore the largest abandoned site we have ever and may ever encounter to see what we will discover inside. Situated at the top of a hill, the hospital is away from the centre of its nearby city. This may be a reason why they decided to build a new one in the heart and close this one down. This hospital can be traced back to 1804 when it was located a few miles away from this structure that it moved to in 1869. This relocation took over 20 years due to conflict between mayors of the different towns it is based in. We started our explore of the colossal site in the oldest infirmary buildings and move across the grounds to the more modern section. Sadly, we entered the building late in the afternoon, so it wouldn't be long before it got dark. The first thing we noticed was this beeping noise. It seemed that a motion sensor had been tripped a while ago after the place had become abandoned and was buzzing all this time. These wards were for short-term use, as the patients are waiting to be treated in the operating theatres we soon found. This entire section was in perfect condition. There was no peeling paint, smashed windows, or even graffiti. It gave the building a much more intense hospital vibe, which made the explore more interesting than anticipated. Soon enough we began to find the many operating theatres this hospital had to offer. All the lights were different shapes and sizes, so it seemed they were focused on certain forms of surgery. It was amazing to see that in some cases the lights still worked, the power forgotten when the hospital workers left the site a long time ago. Many of the operating theatres had back rooms that featured these safe-like machines. These are actually sterilisers and will be used to kill any bacteria, spores or germs from equipment used during surgery, using the power of steam. Meanwhile, it was time for us to continue our explore and see what other surprises lay in the massive site. Moving through the hospital without ever being here when it was open inevitably led to us getting lost a number of times. There were infinite corridors seeming to lead off from each other forever. Hidden behind a normal looking door was a key room that assisted us in working out our position in the hospital and where to head to next, the entrance hall. This entrance room was one of the first built back in 1869 and became a memorable sight at the hospital when visitors checked in. You can tell that the original buildings were added onto by the single corridors leading from one section to another, as the hospital required more space. This is because it was based in a traditional mining town, so there was more chance of accidents.
Oh my god. The corridors are just like never ending. What the heck is this? It's like for storage, isn't it?
Some lights were even on sensors, so as we walked past they came on.
Oh, what is this? Oh my god. Look, it's a to clean your trays you have for your lunch. So they'd get passed through here and they'd go through the curtains. I'm guessing they get like sprayed with stuff as they come, and then they'd come out here. Yeah.
The reason behind this huge contraption was that we were coming into the giant kitchens that would supply patients and workers with food and drink every day. This plastic skylight was decaying slowly, allowing amazing colours to be let into this room.
I don't know if that skylight is supposed to be that colour or it's just like decayed. Jeez. This is kitchens, I think.
Although we didn't realise it at the time, we were half underground in these kitchens. They were designed like this to save space.
That is awesome.
All of a sudden we noticed double doors that were hastily blocked up by chairs and a desk. After clearing the blockage, we entered to find something insane. Although only a small chapel, it was clear with the architecture that they wanted people to feel like they'd stepped out of their hospital and gone to their local service. The church would have catered for baptisms and funerals. Some of the newer wards were being used to store furniture, but you could still make out the rooms past. The more wards we ventured through, the less interesting they got. There was only so much of curtains that you can enjoy, and this hospital was full of them. It was the small things inside them that made them so fascinating to walk around, like this touchscreen tap that still had power and water dripping out of it.
Inside bean for coffee. Oh look, there's loads of paper plates.
This small cafe lies at the heart of the hospital at the midpoint of two tunnels. Inside it was quite destroyed, but there was still untouched food left behind from its last day in service.
9th of February 2013. I say we open them. No.
What is that? Wait, that's just reception music for the waiting room.
Oh my god.
There's no way. The music is still going.
No, there's no way.
That's insane.
It turns on. Oh my god, no way. Oh my god. No way.
We've literally got the TV working.
Oh my
Why
god.
is it on a time?
I don't know.
That's insane.
What?
Wait, can I change the program, please?
This eerie discovery was one of the craziest things that has ever happened to us inside an abandoned building. It felt as if we were just stumbling into a run-in hospital, but after an apocalypse. The area we ventured into next was where X-rays would be kept. Sadly, as they are expensive machinery, it seemed that the X-rays had been transferred to the newer hospital. There wasn't any power in this section due to the water damage and decay. It was the first time we had seen the hospital look truly abandoned. The building's contrasting feel was very interesting. One moment we're in a decaying, clearly abandoned site, the next, an untouched site with power. Currently we are in the most modern building, which consisted of wards, living quarters and more operating theatres. As it was getting late, we decided to leave the building. Although we had not covered every room and corridor, we had explored the major points we wanted to. However, we may return in the future. When we were outside, it was bizarre to see that all the lights had come on because they were set up to when it got dark. It's almost as if the life in the hospital is still active, but hidden behind decay.